is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, first, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and U.S. President Donald Trump spotlight new investment deals in technology, energy, and defense, reinforcing efforts to deepen economic and innovation ties. In East Asia, China warns it may take strict and resolute measures if Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi does not retract her Taiwan remarks as protesters in Kyoto denounce her statements as provocative. Crackdown intensifies. Nearly 350 foreign nationals are arrested after the military raids another internet scam hub along the Thai border, sharpening the campaign against cross-border fraud. In Russia, delegations of the SCTO Joint Staff gathered at Mamayev Kurgan in Volgograd to mark the 83rd anniversary of the Soviet counterattack in the Battle of Stalingrad, honoring soldiers who fell in the historic fight. Political pressure mounts. Tension rises in Malacanang after successive allegations of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s involvement in illegal drug use as PDP Laban backs calls for President and his family to undergo hair follicle drug testing. Security Watch, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, probes the source of support and funding behind the anti-corruption rally on EDSA, held the same day as the massive Iglesia ni Cristo gathering at the Quirino Grandstand. Culture in Focus. Sultan Kudarat opens this year's Kalimudan Festival, one of the Mindanao's major cultural showcases, welcoming visitors from across the region with the world-class opening celebration. I'm Angel Pastor. Newsline World starts now. First in our news, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and U.S. President Donald Trump highlighted new investment agreements in sectors including technology, energy, and defense during the U.S.-Saudi Investment Forum, underscoring efforts to strengthen economic and innovation ties between the two nations. Joy Tabanao tells us more.
Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman praised what he called a historic step in strengthening economic ties between the United States and Saudi Arabia. According to the Crown Prince, a key part of his visit was the signing of new investment agreements covering sectors such as defense, energy, artificial intelligence, rare minerals, and finance. He expressed confidence that these initiatives would create significant job opportunities in both countries and further strengthen their economic partnership.
بعد 6 أشهر من انعقاد منتدى الاستثمار السعودي الأمريكي في الرياض الذي انعقد خلال زيارتكم فخامة الرئيس، حيث وضعنا الأسس لشراكة تقوم على النمو والتنويع الاقتصادي والابتكار، كما وقعنا وثيقة الشراكة الاقتصادية الاستراتيجية بين بلدينا في خطوة تاريخية لترسيخ التعاون الاقتصادي. واليوم يسرنا توقيع اتفاقيات ومشروعات استثمارية جديدة تتضمن قطاعات الدفاع والطاقة والذكاء الاصطناعي والمعادن النادرة والقطاع المالي.
The Crown Prince also thanked the United States for reinforcing the historic relationship and for developing additional investment pathways aligned with the ambitions of both nations.
To strengthening our historical relations and developing investment tracks between our two countries in line with our ambitions.
On the other side, U.S. President Donald Trump also lauded Saudi Arabia's designation as a major non-NATO ally.
Something to behold. We officially designated the kingdom yesterday as the major non-NATO ally. That's a big deal. It's actually a very big deal.
Trump said the new status is a rare and significant honor, granted to only a few countries.
It's a great honor. That happens seldom, very seldom, if at all. So I just want to congratulate you on that.
Further details of the agreement signed at the forum are expected to be released in the coming days. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
U.S. President Donald Trump struck a notably cautious tone on nuclear energy, telling investors at the U.S.-Saudi Investment Forum that new nuclear projects should undergo stricter scrutiny, even as he pushed for faster approvals for oil and gas. Paul Montebon will give us the details.
At the U.S.-Saudi Investment Forum, U.S. President Donald Trump expressed caution regarding the approval of the new nuclear plants in the United States, coinciding with the second day of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's visit to the country. In his speech, Trump said the approval process for oil and gas projects should be accelerated to just 2 weeks. But for nuclear projects, he said an additional week should be added due to higher risks and the need for greater caution.
If it's oil and gas, get them approved in 2 weeks. If it's nuclear, add another week. Because some are going nuclear and they're doing, be careful, they better be careful. But they are going to be careful. They're the greatest people in the world.
Trump again criticized what he called woke policies. He claimed he had ended Biden-era restrictions on artificial intelligence during his presidency and vowed to build the largest and most innovative AI ecosystem in the world, together with international partners.
I also proudly ended the ridiculous Biden-era restrictions on artificial intelligence, and we will work closely with friends and partners like those in this room to build the largest, most powerful, most innovative AI ecosystem in the world.
The U.S. president says he wants companies to need just a single federal approval.
And we are going to work it so that you'll have a one approval process, not have to go through 50 states in the United States.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montebon, SMNA News.
The CSTO joint staff delegations gathered at Mamayev Kurgan in Volgograd, Russia to commemorate the 83rd anniversary of the Soviet counterattack during the Battle of Stalingrad, honoring the soldiers who sacrificed their lives decades ago. The anniversary marks November 1942, when the Soviet Army launched Operation Uranus, a strategic campaign to encircle and defeat Axis forces in Stalingrad. The operation was successful and is regarded as a turning point in World War II. During the ceremony commemorating its 83rd anniversary, all the officials pay their respects at the internal flame in memory of those who perished. Representatives from Russia and Kazakhstan were among those who paid their respects. Russia's representative said their delegation is committed to preserving historical memory and honoring the heroism of their forefathers.
Коллективной безопасности. Наш многонациональный коллектив прибыл сюда, чтобы почтить память жертвам тех событий, которые происходили здесь в 1942 году. Конечно же, мы выступаем за сохранение исторической памяти, свято чтим подвиги наших предков. В составе нашей делегации представители Республики Беларусь, Республики Казахстан, Кыргызской Республики, Республики Таджикистан.
Находясь на этой поистине священной земле, я хочу преклонить голову и отдать дань памяти и уважения воинам, которые погибли, защищая наш суверенитет и независимость Родины. Для меня в действительности большая отрада и уважение моему деду, который, находясь здесь, защищал этот город, сложил голову на алтарь Победы.
Aside from Russia and Kazakhstan, the delegation also included military officials from Tajikistan, Belarus, and Kyrgyzstan. Rio de Janeiro police arrested at least 16 suspects on Wednesday after raiding a school in Villa Kennedy that authorities say was being used as a Commando Vermelho bunker. Faith Agustin report.
Civil and military police officers swept through the school at dawn, seizing 2 rifles, a pistol, and a large quantity of drugs. Authorities say the building had been converted into a hideout for gang members seeking to evade security forces. Governor Claudio Castro warned that the criminal group's operations are not conventional banditry, stressing that intelligence teams would continue working to halt Comando Vermelho's territorial expansion. The raid is part of a new phase of the containment operation aimed at dismantling the gang's drug trafficking network. Officials note that the broader offensive has been among Brazil's deadliest, with more than 100 fatalities recorded during a major operation on October 28 in Rio de Janeiro. This is Faith Agustin, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Up next, crackdown intensifies. Nearly 350 foreign nationals are arrested after the military raids another internet scam hub along the Thai border, sharpening the campaign against cross-border fraud. Political pressure mounts. Tension rises in Malacanang after successive allegations of President Marcos Jr.'s involvement in illegal drug use, as PDP Laban backs calls for the president and his family to undergo hair follicle drug testing. Security Watch, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, probes the source of support and funding behind the anti-corruption rally on EDSA, held the same day as the massive Iglesia ni Cristo gathering at the Quirino Grandstand. More news when Newsline World returns.
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, ang kalalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon. Kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado, 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki. Mahigit 1/4 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Isinulong rin ng DOH ang online patient appointment system para sa HIV patients. Layunin nitong gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon. Ayon sa schedule ng pasyente, ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina, at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Isang pindot lang, pwede kang maka-jackpot. Mukhang masaya at easy money lang. Sa murang halaga, pwede ka na tumaya sa online gambling at e-casino apps. Mayroong sabong, slot machines, mahjong, poker at iba pa. Kailangan mo lang ng smartphone, e-wallet at internet. Pero ang aliw na ito unti-unting nagiging bitag para sa mga Pilipino, lalo na kung ang paborito mong artista o influencer ang mukha ng app. Mas madaling makaengganyo, diba? Parang safe naman kasi may kilalang mukha. Pero sa likod ng ngiti, sugal pa rin ang itinutulak at syempre, mas madali ring itago ang pagkalulong sa bisyong ito. Walang pisikal na kasino o pasugalan, walang kaharap, walang accountability, kaya't mas lumalala ang adiksyon. Dagdag pa rito, maraming online gambling apps at walang regulasyon. Sa likod ng mga makukulay na interface at papremyo, nakatago ang problemang bumabalot ngayon sa bansa. Ang pagkalulong ng maraming Pilipino sa online gambling. Pwede maglaro kahit saan, kahit kailan, kahit sino, bata man o matanda, pwedeng malulong. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang pagkakalulong sa online gambling ay nagdudulot ng matinding stress at anxiety, pagkakabaon sa utang, pagkawasak ng pamilya, pagkawala ng tiwala sa sarili. At tulad ng ibang bisyo, may mga senyales ito tulad ng hindi makapagpigil kahit walang pera, palihim na tumataya, pagpapabaya sa trabaho, pamilya o sarili. Sa bawat taya, may mga taong tunay na kumikita, mga malalaking negosyante at investors na negosyo ang bisyo ng masa. Para sa kanila, perang pumapasok lang ito. Pero para sa ordinaryong Pilipino, kabuhayan at relasyon ang nauubos. At ang masakit, tila matagal itong nahayaan. Hindi ito naging prioridad ng mga nakaupo sa taas hanggang sa sobrang lumala at halos naapektuhan na ang buong komunidad. Ngayon, sa dami ng nalulung at sa laki ng pinsalang naidulot, sa kapalalong umugong ang mga panukalang batas para higpitan ng online gambling, gaya ng pagbabawal sa paggamit ng e-wallets para tumaya, pagtaas ng minimum bet, mas mahigpit na identity verification, pag-block ng mga illegal na gambling sites, at bawasan o ipagbawal ang mga ads na target ang kabataan. Maaari itong magmukhang laro lang, pero sa katotohanan, isa itong sugal sa kinabukasan. Ang kita na dapat sa mga pangunahing pangangailangan o ipon na uubos sa sugal. At sa mundo ng online gambling, mas madali kang matalo kaysa manalo. Huwag hayaang sugal ang magdikta sa iyong buhay. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI. Nearly 354 nationals were arrested after the military raided another internet scam hub along the Thai border, intensifying its crackdown on cross-border fraud. This report.
Buildings in the Shui Koko area are being torn down as Myanmar authorities demolish parts of the compound. Police then sweep through nearby premises, searching rooms and seizing equipment. Officials say 346 foreign nationals were arrested. Nearly 10,000 mobile phones and other devices used in online fraud were also recovered. The crackdown follows growing pressure from China, a key ally, over the involvement of its citizens in these scam networks. The Shui Koko hub is linked to alleged racketeer Xi Zhejiang, who was extradited to China last week. Myanmar's State Administration Council recently reported that 101 buildings inside KK Park, one of the country's most notorious scam centers, have already been demolished, with 47 more scheduled for destruction. Authorities say many workers inside these compounds were trafficked and forced into global online scam operations. Myanmar's government claims it has detained more than 10,000 foreign nationals in the past 9 months for suspected participation in online fraud and related crimes. Officials say operations will continue as Myanmar seeks to dismantle the region's largest scam hubs. Reporting for Newsline World, Almar Forsuelo, SMNI News.
Indonesia's Semeru volcano erupted on Wednesday, sending a massive ash column 2 kilometers high and triggering dangerous pyroclastic flows that prompted authorities to raise the alert level to its highest. With Indonesia's geology agency says Semeru released repeated avalanches of scorching ash clouds and mixtures of rock, lava, and gas. The flows traveled up to 7 kilometers down the slopes from midday until dusk. At more than 3,600 meters, Semeru is the tallest peak on Java, the country's most densely populated island. Officials say over 300 residents from 3 high-risk villages in Lumajang district have been evacuated to government-run shelters. The National Disaster Mitigation Agency warns that activity may continue and advises residents to stay clear of river channels and danger zones. Authorities continue to monitor the volcano closely as emergency crew assist evacuees and assess the full impact of the eruption. Tension is escalating in Malacanang after consecutive statements alleging President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s involvement in illegal drug use. Following Senator Amy Marcos' controversial statements, PDP Laban has joined the call to require the president and his family to undergo a hair follicle drug test. Joy Tabanao reports.
Batid ko na nagda-drug siya. Sila nagiinuman at gumagamit ng cocaine. Kasama ng asawa at barkada.
After Senator Imy's claim about the president and his family's alleged long-term drug use, demand has grown for a more reliable form of testing, the hair follicle test, which is said to detect drug use for up to 90 days or even longer. PDP Laban stressed that the allegations cannot be taken lightly since they came from the president's own sister. The party added that any possible impact on President Marcos Jr.'s mental state and physical health would have implications for the country. PDP Laban again pressed for the immediate conduct of a hair follicle test, a method considered almost impossible to cheat or evade. The party also emphasized that its position is based on the Constitution regarding the health of a sitting president. They further stressed that information on the president's condition is not a private matter, but a public concern. In the end, PDP Laban challenged President Marcos to stand by his own advocacy of transparency and accountability. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines is looking into the source of support and funding for the organizers of the anti-corruption rally on EDSA, held on the same day as the massive Iglesia Ni Cristo gathering at the Carino Grandstand. Paul Montebon for this report.
In a press briefing at Camp Aguinaldo, the Armed Forces of the Philippines said it is investigating the possibility of foreign funding or influence in the rally conducted from November 16 to 17.
We are checking all possible leads, especially when it comes to funding. If this were done by domestic or maybe even, for all we know, foreign groups, we're checking all possible leads.
Trinidad added that the elaborate preparations, including food and other expenses, were noticeable, prompting the AFP to look into whether foreign groups were providing support.
The way it was organized, the support system, the food, and the other ancillary equipment or facilities needed, it was organized, it was grande ang preparasyon. So we are checking this.
The rally stage at the People Power Monument was organized by United People's Initiative, a coalition of retired military and police personnel, calling out alleged corruption and urging the resignation of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. UPI has denied receiving any foreign funding for the event. The AFP reiterated that it will not participate in any gatherings against the government, despite calls for the president's resignation over corruption allegations. They stressed that they remain non-partisan institution. The AFP added that its focus is currently on humanitarian disaster response operations across the country, including Manay, Bogo, Talisay, Dipakulaw, and several areas in Central Luzon. Trinidad also warned that the real threat is not fellow Filipinos but China, which he said has been spreading misinformation to divide the country. In the end, the AFP also confirmed it is assessing possible Chinese involvement in rallies directed against the government. For God of My Country, the Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montebon, SMNA News.
When we return, China warns it may take strict and resolute measures if Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi does not retract her Taiwan remarks as protesters in Kyoto denounce her statements as provocative. Culture in Focus, Sultan Kudarat opens this year's Kalimutan Festival, one of Mindanao's major cultural showcases, welcoming visitors from across the region with a world-class opening celebration. Don't go away, Newsline World will be back.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala, sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumunong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika, at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod, pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakaka-depress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen, o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse.
magpahinga sa screen, magbasa, makipagkwentuhan, magdasal, maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
Sa panahon ng tag-ulan, hindi lang baha at ulan ang dapat bantayan, kundi pati na rin mga sakit na pwedeng makahawa. At dahil ngayon ay rainy season, nagbabala ang Department of Health laban sa tinatawag na wild diseases. 4 na klase ng sakit na karaniwang nakukuha ng tao tuwing maulan. Ito ang W o waterborne diseases, gaya ng pagdudumi o gastroenteritis. I o influenza-like illnesses, gaya ng sipon, ubo at lagnat. L o leptospirosis, na maaaring makuha mula sa ihi ng mga daga sa baha. At D o dengue, na dala ng mga lamok. Kapag baha, mas mabilis kumalat ang mikrobyo. Kaya't ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at agad maligo matapos lumusong sa baha. Ano ang dapat gawin para maiwasan ang wild diseases? Tumutok sa weather updates. Magsuot ng kapote at bota. Siguraduhing malinis ang iniinom na tubig. Agad kumonsulta sa health center kung may nararamdamang sintomas. Mainam din gawin ang 40 o ang taob, taktak, tuyo at takip para maiwasan ang dengue sa bahay at komunidad. Maglinis, magmasid, mag-ingat. Labanan ang wild diseases ngayong tag-ulan. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Maging alerto at handa tuwing may bagyo. Upang manatiling ligtas, narito ang ilang mahahalagang paalala. Manatili sa loob ng bahay. Iwasan ang paglabas, lalo na kung malakas ang ulan at hangin. Mag-imbak ng pagkain at malinis na tubig. Maghanda ng emergency kit. Manatiling updated sa lagay ng panahon. Maghanda ng mga flashlight at extra baterya. Panatilihing fully charged ang iyong cellphone. I-secure ang mahahalagang dokumento sa waterproof na lalagyan. Patayin ang kuryente, gas at tubig kung may banta ng pagbaha. Alamin ang iyong local emergency hotlines. Putulin o tapyasan ang mga sanga ng puno na maaaring mabuwal sa malakas na ulan at hangin. Lumikas agad kung inabisuhan ng mga otoridad. Maging ligtas at maging handa sa panahon ng kalamidad. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Ikaw ba ay namomroblema sa taas ng electric bill buwan-buwan? Huwag mag-alala, narito ang ilang paraan upang makatipid sa kuryente. Patayin ang mga ilaw at appliances kapag hindi ginagamit. Sa halip ay gumamit ng natural na liwanag upang makatipid sa kuryente. Tanggalin sa saksakan ang mga appliances kung hindi ginagamit. Iwasan ang paggamit ng maraming appliances ng sabay-sabay. Gumamit ng LED bulbs. Ito ay mas tipid sa kuryente kumpara sa mga incandescent at fluorescent bulbs. Regular na linisin ang mga appliances tulad ng electric fan, aircon vents at refrigerator. Magkaroon ng takdang araw sa isang linggo sa pamamalansya at paglalaba. Gumamit ng energy-efficient appliances. Tandaan, maging wais sa paggamit ng kuryente upang makatipid para mas gumaan ang buhay. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala, sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumunong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
Maging ligtas, maging handa. Narito ang ilang paalala kung sakaling tumama ang lindol. Maghanda ng emergency kits na may lamang flashlight, pito, first aid kit, tubig at pagkain. Alamin ang emergency exits sa inyong bahay, paaralan o opisina. Habang lumilindol, magtago sa ilalim ng matibay na lamesa upang maprotektahan ang sarili sa mga nahuhulog na bagay. Lumayo sa mga bintana at mabibigat na gamit na maaaring mahulog. Kung ikaw ay nasa labas, lumayo sa mga gusali, puno o poste na maaaring matumba. Kung ikaw ay nagmamaneho, itabi at ihinto ang sasakyan at lumabas. Pagkatapos ng lindol, gamitin ang hagdan sa paglabas ng gusali at huwag gumamit ng elevator. Maging alerto sa aftershocks at manatili sa open space kung kinakailangan. Maging ligtas at maging handa sa anumang sakuna. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SM&I.
Sa panahon ng tag-ulan, hindi lang baha at ulan ang dapat bantayan, kundi pati na rin mga sakit na pwedeng makahawa. At dahil ngayon ay rainy season, nagbabala ang Department of Health laban sa tinatawag na wild diseases. 4 na klase ng sakit na karaniwang nakukuha ng tao tuwing maulan. Ito ang W o waterborne diseases, gaya ng pagdudumi o gastroenteritis. I o influenza-like illnesses, gaya ng sipon, ubo at lagnat. L o leptospirosis, na maaaring makuha mula sa ihi ng mga daga sa baha. At D o dengue, na dala ng mga lamok. Kapag baha, mas mabilis kumalat ang mikrobyo. Kaya't ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at agad maligo matapos lumusong sa baha. Ano ang dapat gawin para maiwasan ang wild diseases? Tumutok sa weather updates. Magsuot ng kapote at bota. Siguraduhing malinis ang iniinom na tubig. Agad kumonsulta sa health center kung may nararamdamang sintomas. Mainam din gawin ang 40 o ang taob, taktak, tuyo at takip para maiwasan ang dengue sa bahay at komunidad. Maglinis, magmasid, mag-ingat. Labanan ang wild diseases ngayong tag-ulan. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SM&I.
The Chilean Air Force has recovered the bodies of 5 foreign hikers who died after being caught in a sudden snowstorm in Torre del Paine National Park on Monday. A helicopter touched down at the Army's Armored Detachment No. 5 Lanceros in Puerto Natales on Wednesday, where soldiers and first responders coordinated search and rescue efforts. The recovery operation was carried out by a Bell 412 helicopter from Aviation Group No. 6, which departed Chabunco Air Base in Punta Arenas at around 11 a.m. local time. Authorities confirmed the victims were 2 Mexican nationals, 2 Germans, and a British woman. The group was hiking near the glaciers when a sudden snowstorm hit, bringing powerful winds and near zero visibility. Officials added that 4 people previously reported missing have now been found alive. No additional disappearances have been confirmed. Chile's presidential delegate for Magallanes says rescue operations in the area are now stable as authorities continue monitoring weather conditions across the park. China has warned Japan that it may take strict and resolute measures if Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's recent remarks on Taiwan are not retracted, while protesters in Kyoto rallied to denounce her comments as provocative and dangerous. Here's Prince Tripoli for the report.
China warned Japan that it would have no choice but to take strict and resolute measures if Tokyo refuses to retract its wrongful remarks on Taiwan. China's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning urged Japan to withdraw the recent statements by Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi regarding Taiwan. To recall, Takaichi had said that the Chinese mainland's use of force on Taiwan could pose a survival-threatening situation for Japan and implied the possibility of military intervention in the Taiwan Strait.
如果日方拒不撤回，甚至一错再错，中方将不得不采取严厉坚决的反制措施，由此产生的一切后果由日方承担。
China emphasized the importance of correcting statements that could damage bilateral relations and warned against any actions that could escalate tensions in the region. Meanwhile, protesters in Kyoto, Japan, rallied to denounce Takaichi's recent remarks on Taiwan, which they called provocative and dangerous. The demonstrators gathered in front of Kyoto City Hall, holding placards regarding "Don't use Taiwan" as an excuse to provoke war, and demanded the immediate retraction of the Prime Minister's statements. The protesters also highlighted the need for Japan to reflect on its history and promote peaceful relations with China. They voiced opposition to Takaichi's suggestion to revise the country's 3 non-nuclear principles.
日本政府もね、公式的な立場は中国を一つという立場を取っているのに、今回の発言は台湾の名前を挙げて、そこに、海外封鎖がされたりした場合は、要するに安保法制の危機事態やと。
The demonstrators insisted that Takaichi retract her statements and reaffirm Japan's commitment to peace and constitutional pacifism.
あんな風に無責任に軽はずみに戦争を煽るような発言をされると大変困ります。そして中国の方とも本当私たちは仲良くしたいです。戦争のことをもっと日本はちゃんと反省して次の世代にちゃんとその教育をしてほしい。 学校でですね、ちゃんと戦争のこと、日本が中国とかアジアで何をしたかということをちゃんと教えて、その上で未来に向かって歩きたいと思っています。
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Prince Tripoli, your citizen correspondent.
Peru is celebrating a sweet international victory after its Alganzo 70% dark chocolate topped the 2025 International Chocolate Awards, earning the global title of the best chocolate in the world. Daniela Paulita has a story.
Peru has claimed one of the world's most coveted culinary honors after its Alganzo 70% dark chocolate bar was crowned best chocolate in the world at the 2025 International Chocolate Awards, marking a proud moment for the country's cacao industry and the farmers who brought it to life. Peru's winning entry, the Alganzo 70% bar, crafted by renowned chocolatier Cacao Suyo from Junin Cacao, outperformed top contenders from Europe, Africa, and Asia. The victory is a milestone not just for the brand, but for the country's cacao heritage. For Samir Giha, founder of the Theobroma Inversionist and creator of the Cacao Suyo brand, the award marks the fulfillment of a long-held dream. Giha, who began his chocolate-making journey 12 years ago out of passion, recalled how he and his daughters envisioned creating something both nutritious and delicious. Their mission led them to explore Peru's cacao heartlands and learn from experts. The award also brings long overdue recognition to the farmers behind the beans. Cacao Suyo has consistently excelled on world stage, earning multiple World Gold Awards for its dark chocolates from Amazonas, Cusco, and Piura. Its pure milk bar has also clinched 5 World Gold titles, including Best Milk Chocolate. This latest triumph for the El Ganso 70% bar further cements Peru's status as a global cacao powerhouse, celebrating not just a product but a culture, a craft, and the communities that nurture it. Reporting for Newsline World, Daniela Paulita, SMNI News.
For our sports update, Alessia Russo stepped up in the clutch, scoring 2 second-half headers to push Arsenal to a crucial Champions League over Real Madrid, while Italy powered past Austria in the Davis Cup quarterfinals, keeping their dream of 3 consecutive titles alive thanks to straight sets win from Mario Berrettini and Flavio Coboli. Carlo Della Peña reports.
Arsenal reignited their Champions League campaign after Alessia Russo headed in a pair of goals to overturn an early Real Madrid lead and deliver a significant home victory. Caroline Weir opened the scoring for Madrid with a brilliant volley, putting Arsenal under early pressure. But after the break, the Gunners responded strongly. Russo nodded in Chloe Kelly's delivery to equalize, then later connected with the Beth-made corner to complete the turnaround. Although chances were limited, record signing Olivia Smith was a constant spark, forcing several saves from Madrid goalkeeper Misa Rodriguez. Madrid's forwards Linda Caicedo and Nomi Feller caused problems throughout, but Arsenal tightened their grip on the match in the second half. Real Madrid coach Pau Quesada frustrated that they couldn't extend their lead to 2-0. Arsenal entered the match needing a response after a shaky run, including last week's loss to Bayern Munich, where they blew a 2-goal advantage. Manager Renee Slagers acknowledged the team is navigating a difficult stretch, but praised her squad for delivering when the stakes were high, saying the result mattered more than the overall performance. With 2 league phase fixtures left, the win strengthens Arsenal's bid for a quarter-final spot. The Gunners now shift their attention back to the WSL, where they host Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium on December 6, before facing FC Twente in the key Champions League matchup on December 9. Meanwhile, straight sets wins from Matteo Berrettini and Flavio Coboli secured victory for Italy, despite the absence of top stars Yannick Sinner and Lorenzo Musetti. Berrettini opened a tie with a 6-3, 7-6, 7-4 win over Austria's Yuri Radionov, recovering from a 5-2 deficit in the second set and taking control in the tie-break. Coboli followed with a commanding 6-1, 6-3 victory against Austrian number 1 Filip Misolic, breaking early in both sets and maintaining control throughout the match. Italy will face Belgium in the semifinals on Friday, entering that tie in a 12-match winning streak at the Davis Cup finals dating back to the 2023 tournament. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo Della Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
In today's showbiz news, a heartfelt moment at the Dancing with the Stars Season 34 semifinals melted the hearts of the audience as Zac Efron made a surprise appearance with his 5-year-old sister Olivia to cheer on his younger brother Dylan as he danced for a spot in the finale. In other updates where the women have gone, Vanity Fair's recently released 32nd annual Hollywood issue titled Let's Hear It for the Boys has ignited controversy for featuring only male actors on its cover. Stella Maris has more.
Zac Efron made his first appearance during the November 18 episode of Dancing with the Stars, where his brother Dylan performed the tango to Princess I Would Die For You and the cha-cha to Kiss. During the tango, Dylan and partner Daniela Karagach scored 27-30, while their cha-cha earned 28-30 from the judges. Their little sister Olivia sat sweetly on Zac's lap throughout, and during the final number, Zac joyfully lifted her up in celebration. Dylan describes Zac's presence as a full circle moment, telling the news that it meant everything to him. But the support didn't stop there. Ahead of the episodes, Zac even used his Instagram story to urge his followers to vote for his brother. Fans on social media exploded with joy when Zac finally showed up. Many expressed their gratitude, some even crediting his energy for giving Dylan an extra boost. Looking back earlier this season, during dedication night, Dylan performed with Olivia to rewrite the stars, the song Zach sang with Zendaya in The Greatest Showman, as a tribute to his siblings. Dylan's semi-final performance and Zach's emotional support set the stage for the Dancing with the Stars finale, which airs on November 25, 8 p.m. on ABC. Vanity Fair's 3 variant covers spotlight a dozen men, including Jeremy Allen White, A$AP Rocky, Glenn Powell, Lakeith Stanfield, Callum Turner, Riz Ahmed, Jonathan Bailey, Harris Dickinson, Andrew Garfield, Paul Mescal, Michael B. Jordan, and Austin Butler. Fans and social media users were quick to point out on Instagram and elsewhere that no women were included. Some also took issue with the tagline, arguing that referring to grown actors as boys felt dismissive. Defending the decision, Vanity Fair's global editorial director Mark Guiducci framed the selection as a deliberate statement on a new generation of leading men who are more human, vulnerable, kind, and emotionally accessible rather than the larger-than-life stars of old Hollywood. Some media outlets note that this choice marks a bold editorial shift under Guiducci, who is reshaping the magazine's vision to emphasize authenticity and relatability over traditional glamour. Critics maintain that releasing an all-male cover at a time when conversations about gender equity and representation are so prominent makes the choice feel out of touch. They also point out that in its early years, Vanity Fair often switched between all-male and all-female Hollywood issue lineups. On the other hand, some observers support the creative direction. Users on the fashion spot praised the covers for their upbeat visuals and signature Vanity Fair flair, though a few remained unimpressed, with one noting that photo editing looked weird. Despite the backlash, many still praised the new issue, highlighting its vibrant visuals, strong artistic direction, and the charisma of the featured actors. Supporters argue that the concept was executed with style and that the photography captured a refreshing, energetic side of Hollywood's current leading man. This is Stella Maris, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest showbuzz.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. Guard your mind, soul, and heart, that they will remain upright in the sight of God. And for our Christmas countdown, 35 days left before Christmas. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Angel Pastor. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.